On October 17th, 2018, at around 11:45 a.m., the tranquility in Kirch Polytechnic College was shattered. It was then that Vladislav Rozhikov, a fourth-year student, entered the institution through a back entrance, bypassing the metal detector, dressed in a black jacket, pants and boots, with a white t-shirt bearing a single ominous Russian word, translating to hatred, armed with a deadly arsenal of weapons, and harbouring malevolent intentions. The horrors that unfolded that day would claim the lives of 20 innocent people and inflict severe injuries. On the 2nd of May 2000, in the city of Kerch, Vladislav Rozhikov came into the world. His formative years were spent in Arshintsevo, a rural suburb in Kerch. In his family circle, he was endearingly referred to as Vladik. Growing up, Rozhikov lived with his mother, Galina, and father, Igor, in the same apartment building as his grandparents and aunt. The building was run down, and the family lived modestly. Galina, a petite woman, worked as a nursing assistant in a local hospital. She was emotionally and physically mistreated by her husband Igor, a man troubled by alcoholism and abusive behaviour. He would beat his wife almost daily and mock her constantly. Igor didn't limit his aggression to his family. He was a menace to the entire neighbourhood. One neighbour said, "He's an intimidating figure. When he's intoxicated, everyone avoids him. He's always looking for a reason to stir up trouble." Igor was a veteran of the Afghanistan War and suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder. One evening, he was assaulted whilst returning home in a drunken state, causing him to fall and hit his head on the curb. This incident led to chronic migraines and, eventually, he was granted a disability pension, which he squandered on alcohol. Once he'd spent his disability payments, he'd pester his parents for more money to sustain his drinking habit. There were even instances where he'd drunkenly brandish a sword on the lawn outside their home, threatening neighbours as they passed by. The police were a frequent presence, called upon to mitigate his destructive behaviour. Residents in the neighbourhood had vivid memories of a young Rozhikov who's shown disturbing behaviour from an early age. He was hyperactive, but what concerned the locals was his sadistic inclinations. A neighbour said, "One horrifying day, my neighbour and I heard a cat wailing from the basement. We went down to check, and we found Vladik hanging a cat from its tail and laughing. He even tried to do the same to kittens who were hiding in the bushes, but thankfully he was stopped before he could." Soon after, cats from the surrounding homes began to vanish mysteriously. Concerned neighbours approached Rozhikov's grandmother, Galya, suggesting that the boy should be evaluated by a child psychiatrist, but the grandmother dismissed their concerns, claiming that, and quote, "he would grow out of it." Meanwhile, his mother appeared to have little to no influence over him or his troubling behaviour. When he was just 10 years old, Rozhikov's parents split up. Galina then relocated with him to a run-down, barely habitable apartment, not far from where his father lived. The living conditions were dire, devoid of basic amenities. rent for such places typically runs between 2,000 and 3,000 rubles a month, and some tenants are admitted with the understanding that they'll just cover the utility bills. The mother and son led a modest and reclusive life. As for Rozhikov's relationship with his father post-divorce, it is reported that it was almost non-existent. Rozhikov did, however, make occasional visits to his grandparents. After her divorce, Galina joined the Jehovah's Witnesses, which was banned in Russia, and she became deeply devout. This preoccupation led some neighbors to think she neglected her son, although she did force her beliefs onto his life. She would not let him take part in certain school activities or follow interests outside of school that were not in line with her religion. While Rozhikov attended services with his mother, he openly ridiculed the faith, mocking it with his friends. Nonetheless, he seemed to feel a responsibility towards his solitary single mother, making sure to spend time with her. During his high school years, Rozhikov was seen as a friendly but academically challenged student. Though he attracted attention from many girls, he mostly kept to himself, often spending time in the school library using the computers. It was here he developed an affinity for punk rock, adopting a different style of dress and altering his hairstyle, choices his mother, Galina, did not approve of. Despite disciplinary actions, he persisted in his rebellious behavior. In an attempt to steer him in a different direction, Galina bought him a computer, as suggested by one of his teachers, but it had no impact in altering his behavior. In fact, it seemed to deepen his fascination. He immersed himself in violent video games like Doom and began researching serial killers and dark historical events. He expressed these interests online. On one social media account, his avatar was a picture of Anatoly Opryenko, a Ukrainian serial killer, and on his Steam account, he used an image of Dylan Roof, a mass murderer. He was in serial killer forums, where he would post revealing and violent thoughts. He wrote, "Why write this? There are a couple of million people like me in this social network alone. I will tell you why. I have practically no empathy. I think I'm a half psychopath. Also, I'm surrounded by idiots, and I could shoot them all. But it is bad to kill people. I just voiced my opinion, and do not call for killing." At the same time, he was researching how to make homemade explosives and developed a growing fascination with firearms. He even reached out to former servicemen, either in real life or online, to try and gain further knowledge. Rozhikov began attending Kerch Polytechnic College in 2015. He had to take a bus over 41 miles to get there each day. Other students knew to stay away from him. One student said, "Once we saw him on the bus when he was going to school. He opened his bag for a minute, and inside we saw a bayonet from a machine gun. We decided that we should stay away from this dude." When questioned about how someone so young could acquire such dangerous items, the explanation given was that the quarries were a treasure trove of artifacts from past conflicts. If one looks hard enough, they can find almost anything. Rozhikov grew increasingly reclusive, distancing himself even from the female classmates, who were the only ones who shown interest in him. He did have one ex-girlfriend, however. She revealed that prior to the attack, He often spoke about losing faith in people due to ridicule for being different. She said, Vladislav kept talking about the numerous conflicts he had with others. She noted that he expressed a desire not to live anymore. When he did engage in conversations with classmates, he quickly steered the topics towards violence, particularly the Columbine Massacre. He had a deep interest in Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, the perpetrators of the Columbine tragedy. This led many to conclude that Rozhikov was influenced by them. Along with his interests, his behaviour also started to take a dark turn. Once, he reportedly sprayed pepper spray into a classroom, seemingly unprovoked, but he did tell classmates that he would, and quote, seek revenge on the evil teachers, and that he would gun down everyone. He was hiding in plain sight. He was literally telling everybody what he planned to do. But like in many of these cases, nobody took him seriously. Adhering to Russia's stringent gun control measures, Rozhikov successfully secured a firearm license on September 18th, 2018. This followed his completion of both a mental health screening and firearms training. He did this at a private shooting school on July 18th of the same year. He took advantage of his newly acquired legal status to purchase an 8-shot 12-gauge pump-action shotgun, complete with a pistol grip. To pay for these weapons, he stole money from his gran. In the days leading up to the tragic event, he bought an additional 150 rounds of ammunition. He began target practice in a secluded forest, where he also burned various personal items, such as photographs, a Bible, and notebooks. On the morning of the attack, he waited until his mother left for work before he departed, as though cherishing his last moments in her presence. Before the attack, Rozhikov had already stopped using his own personal social media. He chose to be anonymous, spewing hate and violence on online forums. One quote in particular I found extremely harrowing. It said, "I have very atypical views. I do not think you understand them. They have always been a barrier in personal relationships with other people. I actually have no friends. I am a degraded nihilist, complete indifference and contempt for the world." On the 17th of October, 2018, at around 11:45 a.m., Rozhikov was observed approaching the college's rear entrance. This strategic choice was made to evade the main entrance, which was equipped with metal detectors and a guard. Although usually he showed minimal concern for these security measures, he went this way because within his bag was an arsenal, including 2 nail bombs, a shotgun, ammunition, pipe bombs, and a Molotov cocktail. This image shows Vlad heading down a hallway to a disused toilet to hide his weapons for later. Here we can see Rozhikov now going down a fire exit to lock the emergency door with a padlock that he had brought with him. Fortunately, the padlock was too small, so he was not able to lock it. Now we see Rozhikov walking down another hallway, where he places his bag on the cabinet. He is setting the timer on one of the bombs to 10 minutes. Now he is sat waiting with a live bomb. Some classmates pass by and say hello. Rozhikov has now moved into the cafeteria. He takes a seat before quickly standing up and placing the bomb on the frying pan in the kitchen. The reason he placed the bomb on the frying pan was to increase the destructive path of the bomb. Vlad can now be seen hurrying down the hallway, back to the abandoned toilet to pick up the rest of his arsenal. He can be seen clearly wearing the t-shirt with the word that translates to hatred. Then the bomb explodes. The main entrance of the college, which was made of glass, was completely destroyed by the explosion. The wall separating the cafeteria from the hallway also crumbled due to the blast's immense power. Additionally, numerous classroom doors were torn apart, illustrating the sheer destructive force of the bomb. The killing spree from Vlad has just begun. Moments before walking down this hallway, he had gunned down a 54-year-old teacher who was totally unaware of what was happening. In this unsettling footage, Vlad can be observed systematically trying door handles and surveying the classrooms. Then he embarks on a terrifying spree, opening fire without discrimination, targeting both teachers and fellow students, as well as inanimate objects like computers, locked doors, and fire extinguishers. Witnesses recount a harrowing sight as he roams the second-floor corridors, discharging his weapon randomly, all the while maintaining an eerie silence, devoid of any spoken word. Vlad throws a smoke grenade behind him, seemingly either to cover his tracks or to maybe ambush people trying to escape or in hiding. Vlad here can be seen going up the stairs, and to the horror of those who believed that they had found safety, he opens fire from a window, targeting students who thought they had eluded the imminent danger. In his relentless pursuit, Roshikov encounters a locked library door. He responds with gunfire, shattering the lock and granting himself entry into the library. Within, it is said he initially heads for the computer room, where he proceeds to wreak havoc and destroy the machines. It is now he takes aim at himself, ending the horrific series of events. It is reported the attack lasted as long as 20 minutes. Reportedly, this is how long it took for officers to arrive. Along with the police, approximately 200 members of the Russian security force responded due to the bomb. At the time, they had no idea what was happening. In the end, 20 innocent people lost their lives, with a further 70 severely injured. The Russian health minister, Veronika Skvorsova, told news agencies the kids' muscles have been minced with small metal objects. Those who have had their organs ripped apart. We are finding metal balls in kidneys, intestines, and blood vessels. That is how powerful the blast was. In a dark twist, Galina, Rosyakov's mother, was actively involved in providing first aid to the victims as they were admitted to the hospital. Unaware of her son's involvement, she anxiously awaited any news about his well-being. She was deeply concerned for his safety. The shocking revelation that he was in fact the perpetrator shattered her world, and she was subsequently apprehended by the police. It was an experience that nearly tore her apart completely.
If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe for more enlightening content like this.